Hello, I'm Tom. I'm a secondary school teacher of 12 years, and this is the third of 3 videos focusing from a pastoral perspective on the transition from primary school to secondary school, and focusing particularly on year 7. So I've talked so far about the importance of prizing all voices in the classroom, about working on building the right kind of relationships, and the last thing I'd like to talk about is perhaps the least interesting or celebrated. When year 7 students enter secondary school, they're faced with a whole raft of new environments, new routines, new textbooks, new everything. And the speed with which they acclimatised and get accustomed to all of this is going to have an impact on how secure they do or don't feel in secondary school. So helping them during that transition, that process, is going to be crucial. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is the comparatively mundane topic. 3 things really: organisation, presentation, and uniform. Now, I guess when people think of organisation, the first thing that springs to mind with year 7 students is, have you got the right books and have you got the pens or whatever equipment they are required to have for that lesson? Often they don't. So when you hear that word organisation, those tends to be the things that spring to people's minds, understandably. But I think you need to consider what's at the heart of those who are organised, and that is a commitment to learning and to education, because those who do arrive with the right books, with the right equipment, that means they've got up that morning and before they've even arrived to school, or perhaps even the night before, they've thought carefully about what they need that day and they've made sure they've got it all. Now, you'll often hear in staff rooms, or from people not even involved in the profession, the idea, quite understandable idea I think, that you ought not to celebrate someone for meeting basic expectations. Simply put, if you turn up with the right books and the right equipment, good for you. You're not getting anything in the terms of praise, because that's what we expect. It's a baseline. Now, I can understand that, and I have a lot of sympathy for it further up the school. But I do think year 7 has to be about building good habits. And I do think we have a responsibility to help them build good habits. It's, I think, unfair to simply just expect them to already have them. And it takes time and repetition to build good habits. So, when you see someone who is organised, who has made the effort, or maybe someone who has struggled in the past and has made a small, subtle but significant advance, you have to recognise that and you have to champion it, because that's the kind of response that is going to ensure that that does become a habit. And I know you can't really measure, well, maybe you can, I don't know, but I presume it's quite difficult to measure the relationship between organisation and academic performance. But again, I don't really care about the fact that there's no measurement known to me. I don't require that to believe that if you can establish good habits in terms of organisation, presentation and uniform, you're likely to lay the platform for a strong performance that day, every day. One of the reasons I think presentation in terms of their work and themselves is important is because it reflects, again, that commitment to the educational environment and the seriousness and the aspirational approach that ought to be at the heart of it all. It reflects an understanding and a commitment to that. But I also think if they're offering that and you're recognising it, then they're inevitably going to find themselves feeling, even if they can't articulate it, a sense of maturity and a sense of control, because they're now being acknowledged for the actions they've taken. And if they can feel that sense of maturity and of control, then inevitably they are going to, as a result, feel more secure and more safe. And their relationship with that secondary school environment and with learning as a whole is now that much more secure and that much more intimate. And working towards that has to be a goal.